Commissioners, for allowing me the opportunity to come here and present this evening. And also a special thank you to our friends here at Garrett College for allowing us the use of their lovely facility. I, by formal training, studied economics in college, so I have to have a chart or a graph. It's just, in me. But here, what I really wanted to share with folks is, the net change in employment here in Garrett County. Today, looking back over the last 13 months, today 1% more people are employed here in Garrett County than before. And that's almost double the state average. And honestly, typically rural areas lag the state average in most cases. So it's really a tremendous testament to how wonderful our community is that we are beating the state's average. And you can see here that, West Virginia on the statewide average has been no growth, and same there in Pennsylvania. Some of the numbers provided to me by the building department for activity going on in the community. Year over year for housing starts, we're at 130% growth. So that's a tremendous outcome. Probably has something to do with the sprinkler systems, but also the fact we're a great place to come. Total permits are up approximately 30.2% over the same time period, and currently there are 48 commercial permits that are open with declared builder value exceeding $55 million. So there's a lot of activity that is going on. Wanted to share some information about some select projects that the department is involved in. And after that, we're going to get into some of the business success stories. Project that Commissioner Edwards was speaking about just now was the broadband connectivity. The department in 2012, when former Assistant Director Frank Schapp was still with us, led an effort to get an ARC grant to do a needs assessment for broadband. And essentially they identified a number of areas in the community that were unserved and or underserved at the time. This map basically shows the identified areas. Since that laid the foundation for moving forward, we were able to receive county and ARC funds for about $1.5 million in order to find a private provider to come into these identified areas and try to beef up the internet connectivity and availability. Typically, these are some of the more least densely populated areas, so obviously it didn't make a whole lot of sense for some of your for-profit utilities like Comcast, et cetera, to go in and provide services, because there wasn't necessarily the same return on investment, and that's why the grant is targeted towards these areas. We've identified a private partner, Declarations Network Group out of Virginia. They'll be operating under the name Newbeam. Their website is right down here with their logo. If you visit their website, they're going to be deploying a TV white space network. It's going to largely be wireless. There'll be some fixed antennas. And you may remember when used to TVs had tubes and then they got really flat because the FCC said, we're not going to have this analog signals being broadcast anymore. We're going to go to an all digital network. Well, that freed up this spectrum. And companies like D&G have been able to convert that old analog television signal into an internet signal. And according to their website, they are going to be able to provide speeds from 5 to 30 megabits per second, like they are in other areas where this same network is being already been deployed. So we're just weeks away from a demonstration network being able to be launched here within Garrett County. Another project that we've been working on at the department throughout 2015 and before, we were given responsibility for the redevelopment of the old county roads garage. We're calling this really the Cherry Glade project because of the culverted stream that's underneath the property. We have a project with two parts, and that is the daylighting of Cherry Glade Run and the extension of Penny Lane. So here you have US 219, down here is 4th Street, and we're going to, there's a culverted stream underneath the property that we're going to expose. Right now, that property is actually in the 100-year floodplain. So by opening up the stream, I know it sounds a little counterintuitive. You're going to put a river down the middle of it, and you're going to have more buildable area, but believe it or not, that is the case. We're going to be able to build up the sites. The water runoff can go into Cherry Glade, and you can see here Clear Mountain Bank, Dairy Queen, and as you know, the Penny Lane stops right there, and then that'll be continued all the way down to 4th Street. So ingress and egress coming into those two businesses will be greatly improved. Currently, that project has been awarded. It's gone out to contract, and Beitzel Corporation will be doing both projects. Another project that we've spent a lot of time working this year is Kaiser's Ridge Business Park. With Northern Garrett Industrial Park being successfully filled up, we no longer had really an interstate industrial park available to us to try to attract new businesses, or if businesses that were growing that are already here in the community needed a place to expand to, they needed a place essentially to go if they didn't have enough room in their present location. We have 3 projects that we're working here with Kaiser's Ridge Business Park. The first is a wastewater treatment plant, 50,000 gallons per day package plant is to be installed. The design is to be such that it could be doubled in capacity. It's sort of a modular unit. We are paying for that in part with a grant from the U.S. Economic Development Administration. They awarded the community $1.3 million. It does require a dollar-for-dollar match that is coming from the county commission. We also are pursuing an Appalachian Regional Commission's LAR grant for an access road, essentially right here. This main road, the core road, has already been paved going into the American Woodmark property, but right here, we're going to extend most of this road, put most of that road in, and include certain stormwater improvements. Because of where Kaiser's Ridge Business Park is located, it's in a Class 2 watershed area, and I don't want to bore you with a bunch of technical jargon, but essentially it costs a little bit more to develop there because the water coming off of it has got to be a little bit cleaner. So in order to make the cost of development within the park similar to developments outside of the park, we're putting in some stormwater improvements in order to make it attractive for businesses to want to come in and locate there. The ARC-LAR project that we've submitted for was ranked #1 by the region through Tri-County Council, and we've received the invitation from ARC to make a full application. That application right now, I think it's about 90+% complete. We're still waiting on 1 or 2 more things before we submit. Last of the 3 projects there with Kaiser's Ridge Business Park is water. The town of Grantsville gave up the rights to 5 non-producing wells to the county for that allocation in order for the county to be able to put in some wells that could supply up to 50,000 gallons per day of wastewater, of potable drinking water. Yeah, sorry about that. It's been a long day, y'all. And that's being paid for out of a grant from the Department of Commerce. They gave the county approximately $1 million. Where we are on that project is engineering services have been competitively bidded and awarded to RK&K Engineers. Next project I wanted to talk about was the Western Conveyance wastewater project. Really and truly, this is an amazing project. It is an extension of about 35,000 linear feet of a 16-inch sewer line with several pumps stations along the way. Cost is approximately $13.8 million. Now, it's going to give the county the potential to serve about 2,500 new customers. And you can see where the line is going. Essentially, all those people were on septic tanks for the most part. And septic tanks do produce gray water, and so additional nutrients were eventually flowing into Deep Creek Lake. So this is a tremendous project that's going to be able to help maintain the water quality in Deep Creek Lake. So with that, we'll move on into some of the business successes with the community. One of them that when I first got here, we were able to announce Total Biz Fulfillment is doing a $3 million expansion in Southern Garrett Industrial Park. If you're not familiar with Total Biz Fulfillment, they specialize in providing a unique combination of full-service fulfillment house, complete back-office facilities, and support services like knitting, assortments, and light assembly for manufacturers that utilize business-to-business sales strategies. They're essentially adding 60,000 square feet of warehouse space. The project is expected to produce 15 new full-time equivalent jobs with several seasonal positions available this time of year. You can see here the day I went by and snapped the picture, they were putting up the exterior walls that day. Another big project that took place in the community, and this was the final project really that filled up the Northern Garrett Industrial Park. Beitzel and Pillar Innovations built their new combined headquarters. If you're not familiar with Beitzel and Pillar, I'm sure most of us are, but combined, both companies operate a turnkey technology, industrial construction, and maintenance company specializing in industrial construction, excavation, steel fabrication, machining, electrical, maintenance, engineering, equipment rental, and automated controls implementation for multiple industries. The county was able to assist this project by negotiating repurchase of the land. We had already sold previously the lot that it was built onto, closet made for a future expansion for them. And we also assisted with the roundabout that goes into that property. Another exciting project, been in the news a lot recently. In fact, they had the ribbon cutting ceremony, I think it was Friday, is their Garrett Regional Medical Center. Scott touched on it some with the financing opportunities, but they have formed a partnership with the West Virginia University to have a full-on oncology lab here that's actually going to be staffed by WVU professionals. So that's a huge quality of life adder, for our community. A lot of people had to go to Morgantown or places even further than that in order to receive those services. And it just doesn't impact the person who's receiving the treatment, but you can't drive after you go through some of that, and people have to take care of you as well. So the loved ones of these people as well, it's going to greatly impact. Also, for the hospital, additional projects, they're currently acquiring or looking to acquire the Get and Go there in Oakland. And when Pillar vacated their current headquarters just outside the Northern Garrett Industrial Park, the hospital's in the process of acquiring that property as well in order to provide additional services throughout the community. Another great project that the county assisted with was Cornucopia Cafe. Yes. The county assisted the project by providing some needed infrastructure in order to increase the capacity of the wastewater treatment system in that area in order to accommodate additional developments in and around 10 hours. Something near and dear to many people's hearts in here is HEART. Phase 2, the adoption wing, has been completed. The county was able to contribute a portion of the required ARC match in return for a jobs agreement from the Heart for Animals group. Also, the department was able to assist Exelon. Exelon is one of America's leading competitive energy providers with one of the cleanest and lowest cost power generation portfolios. The department worked with them in order to locate a field service and engineering office here in Garrett County. They ended up locating in the old Robinson Supply Building there in Northern Garrett Industrial Park. All right, and Rick Thayer, do you mind just waving at everybody back there? Rick doesn't work for me. Rick works for the University of Frostburg State University, at the Small Business Development Center. But really, we wanted to provide additional services for small businesses locating, here in Garrett County and those that have been here for years. And part of our strategy in order to do that was we began contributing local funds. The department contributes $15,000 a year that Frostburg State University turns around and leverages with funding from the Small Business Administration, some university funds, as well as some funds available through the state. In addition, in that partnership is Garrett College, who provides in-kind space, use of copying machines, etc., in order to provide Rick Thayer and his availability here to a lot of small businesses. You can see here in numbers that Rick reported to me. He's got 16 active clients. He had 2 business starts and helped secure about $1.5 million in funding. So if you think about that return on investment, $15,000 for $1.5 million, wow, Rick, if you can do that again, I'd like to see you get more money after that.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. So looking forward into 2016, some of the more ongoing projects and opportunities. Currently, the WISP, folks know that there's been some discussions about them adding a new hotel. They have sent preliminary documents to the planning department for review for a new development out at the WISP. It will be a hotel. Also, the Department of Economic Development has been in negotiations. We've pretty much got all the contracts finalized. They've just not been signed yet. The Cherry Glade development that we've been working on, we have a private developer who's interested in acquiring all 3 parcels from us. Also, the Board of County Commissioners have agreed to help fund the STEM building out here at Garrett College. And the department is working with Garrett College to formalize a community leadership development program moving forward that we hope gets launched in 2016. There are also additional projects to be excited about. The Garrett County Emergency Operations Center is likely to be built near the airport and with the assistance of a $500,000 ARC grant. Governor Hogan recently committed the necessary funds for the North-South Highway and also came to Garrett County. He was here in Western Maryland for 4 days and spent 3 of them here in lovely Garrett County. While here, he announced the reopening of the Youghiogheny River Overlook and Welcome Center. Also, there's a new travel center being built right now with a planned IHOP up in Grantsville. Plans are also underway to build a large indoor sports venue to attract sports tourists from around the region and country. And last but not least, Garrett County's newest cheesemaker, High Country Creamery and Market, plan to complete their facilities in 2016. With that, it was a pleasure to be able to present to you. Thank you again to the county commissioners for giving me this opportunity, and thank you to Garrett College.
Thank you very much, Alex. I can say without question, probably the thing that most average citizens want to know is the economic development piece. I think they view that sort of as the most important. I can tell you from both the campaign and even after we've been elected, that's what we get asked the most about. What are you doing to attract businesses? Obviously, the opportunities for jobs, the tax base. Along with this stuff, first of all, we were out at the WISP last week with the governor. They've got a comprehensive plan. They want to radically transform all that stuff. And I know Jerry's not here. He was here earlier, but you know, if you get a chance to bend Jerry's ear and just ask him about some of the stuff they want to do, it's amazing. If they're able to accomplish what they want to accomplish over there, it's a game changer for the entire county. It really is. It's really impressive, and it's significant. Also, along these same lines, you know, obviously, most of you know Grantsville was awarded the Arts and Entertainment District. The commissioners worked on a program. We've offered the same incentives that the state gives on the A&E district to any community within the county that's fortunate enough to get that. We know that Oakland is working very hard. Their town council and mayor and some concerned businesses and groups are working to try to turn some of the empty storefronts around there. Friendsville just completed a pretty thorough economic study of what they can do to improve their town. So there's a lot of good stuff happening all over the county. The airport, I saw Ed back here. We had a meeting last week. The airport had the best year ever last year. So that's excellent as well. And you know, we're pretty pleased right now. You can never have enough economic development, I guess. That's what most people are interested in. But things are going pretty well right now. Fourth on our list of overarching goals was relationship building. Heard that a lot during the campaign as well, probably by a lot of you in the room. They wanted us to be able to work together and get along, and I think we have a wonderful working relationship. Larry gets difficult once in a while, but you know, we do. We get along really well, and you know, just looking out at the audience and the groups that are represented here, and you know, most of you in here aren't just citizens, you're active citizens, and that's why you're here, and I think we've got a pretty good working relationship with all of you. So our relationship not only with each other, but also within the courthouse, I mentioned earlier, we got an outstanding staff. I think we work well together. They're very innovative. A lot of the things that you're seeing that we're talking about came from them, not from us, which is excellent. That's what we want them to be comfortable to move forward and try to run their departments and do things for the betterment of the whole county. State government. You know, this is the first time ever that we've had so many secretaries in our county. And not only did they meet with us, but most of them opened themselves up to meet with anyone that wanted to meet with them. We met with the secretaries at DNR, DLLR, Budget and Finance, MDE, Planning, Commerce, Transportation. The list goes on. We've partnered with the Department of Housing. The governor spent multiple days here. And you know, we were fortunate enough to establish not only relationships with those people, but more importantly with their staff, because their staff is the one that makes things happen. And you know, I think we've got an excellent rapport with those folks. They know where we are, they know what a lot of our issues are, and we've already seen them working directly with a lot of you as citizens to help mitigate a lot of the problems that you've had dealing with state governments. We worked with the department heads. You go back to the budget. You know, we had a difficult budget. We went to the department heads. We asked them to ask for less money, which is a difficult thing to do, and they all did, every one of them. And everyone that we fund, you know, that sometimes I think there's been public spats that people didn't really appreciate. And we heard that loud and clear. And one of them was previously, you know, with the school board, with the sheriff's department. And there's a lot of the school board members here tonight. We appreciate you coming out. I think we got a great working relationship with them, with Sheriff Corley and his group, the college, and all of our department heads, and we try to work together, and that's important. And we were able to put a budget together that met everybody's needs, at least the basic needs, without having to raise anybody's taxes and without having to you know, say mean, nasty things about each other, which we appreciate. Working with various state agencies to make things happen here. DCHD with the home ownership program. I'll go back to that time and again because I just think it's so exciting. We're able to build the only county without an emergency operations center. We're working with various state agencies and the federal government to get money to be able to do that, and that's going to happen next year, hopefully. We got a great working relationship, as I said, with a lot of local agencies and local armed state agencies like Community Action. The Arts Council, GLAF, I saw some of those members in here tonight. The Chamber of Commerce, the Health Department, Garrett Trails. And I'm sure I shouldn't even start naming them because I'm sure I'm going to miss some, but all the groups that we work with, I think we've got excellent working relationships with. The municipal governments, I can tell you from that's my background, we've got an outstanding working relationship with the mayors and councils of the 8 municipalities in our county, and we meet with them regularly. We also meet and work with, and I think have a great working relationship with the 2 local business organizations outside the Chamber of Commerce. Well, they work with the Chamber, but they're not under the Chamber, and GGBA and GO. And I think we try very hard to attend a lot of their meetings and be there and to be able to help and assist with what they're doing. Our department heads serve on a lot of committees. They're involved as well. So it's not just us, it's our department heads that serve on all kinds of things, from the Development Corporation to the Health Department to Garrett Trails and on and different boards and so on and so forth. Another thing that we wanted to do, and this will be something that I guess at the end of the day will be judged by you all and not by us, is to become more business friendly. We've talked with our staff often. You know, when you guys have a problem or you need something done, generally you'll call one of the staff members or one of the department heads, not necessarily one of us. We expect them to be responsive and respectful, and I think they are. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback on that to validate that. And we certainly appreciate that. And then the 3 of us try to practice what we preach as well. We try to be receptive to go where invited and to try to help everyone with their concerns in dealing with the state, local, and federal government. And when we bring people in, we try to make sure that they're accessible to the citizens and decisions that are important to our county. We've asked repeatedly for us and for our citizens to have a seat at the table and be part of those decisions. Number 6, kind of falls, again, a lot of these kind of commingle, but assist and become better partners with the municipalities. We take that very seriously. We heard a lot of that in the campaign. And, you know, if you don't live in a municipality, you might be sitting there thinking, what's the big deal? And how does this impact me? I mean, outside of the fact that they pay a lot of tax, they bring in, you know, tourism isn't just relegated to Deep Creek Lake. And there's a lot of cool stuff in Friendsville, Grantsville, Accident, you know, Kitzmiller. We could go on, and those people bring people in too, and that's their livelihoods, and they're just as important as anybody else. But more importantly, if one of those towns would happen to fail, what maybe some people don't realize is if they turn their charter in, what that means is all that debt comes back to the county and we assume it all. So it's very important that we help assist our municipalities to stay viable and to be able to provide the services to their residents. And at one point in time, when that highway user money went away, we almost lost 2 of our municipalities. There's actually meetings where, and I sat in on them, that they said, I think I'm just going to turn the charter in and be done with it. We've kind of gotten past that now, and most of them are in pretty good shape. You got a lot of dedicated mayors, and the mayor's job in Garrett County is a mayor for life, basically. There ain't no one lining up at the gates to take that job from him. So we appreciate that, Donnie. And again, with the municipalities, we try to be very active also with their organizations, GGBA, GO, the Lions Clubs, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, I think also very important, to make timely decisions. You know, when things come up, we try to act decisively. We try to gather as much information as we can, and then we try to act on it. You know, one of the, actually I think it might have been the very first thing we did after we were put into office was to adopt the water and sewer master plan. The Garrett County was in non-compliance on the water and sewer master plan for about 10 years. And that was one of the first things that we did. The town of Friendsville, for years, they were trying to get more sewer and water taps for their town. We worked very closely with Mayor Schlossnagel and MDE, and Pat is back there, was instrumental in this. We were able to get them, I think it was 40 or 42 extra taps, which is something they tried to do for a long time. So you can't grow without the water and sewer taps. So we did that. The only place that we probably fell a little bit short on that is the watershed management plan. And I see some folks out here where I know that's their issue, their main issue. Part of that was because there was some pieces of that really bothered some people, but I think we've worked through some of that. And David Meyerberg's here. I know he was a member of the steering committee for the management plan. And, you know, we've talked with Barbara and Friends of Deep Creek Lake and Bob and the POA, and I think we're real close to being able to have something that we can move forward on, hopefully relatively soon. But that is one area in timely decision-making that we probably dropped the ball. And we apologize for that, and we'll try to do better with that moving forward. And finally, and then we'll go to questions. Remember, if you have a question, you know, raise your hand, get a card, write it down, give it to Carol. She'll get it up here, and we'll answer them. Another big issue when we were going through the campaign, it was talked about over and over and over again, and we didn't put it on any of our goals, kind of interwoven, was this transparency piece. You know, transparency works two ways, and I think we were at a forum here, and Sheriff Corley made that statement. He's absolutely right, and this is your part to be part of that. If we have this meeting and nobody shows up, nobody's transparent, because obviously nobody wants to know what's going on. So it's great to see such a big crowd here. But what we've done in that regard, you know, first and foremost, we moved our meeting time. I don't know how many of you guys went to commissioners' meetings in years past, but they were in the morning and it was difficult to get there. And if there's a highly controversial issue, maybe there were some people there, but generally there wasn't. So we moved the meeting time into the afternoon, and it's worked. We've had a lot of familiar faces in here come to a lot of our meetings. Most of our meetings, there's a lot of people out, and that's good. People want to be informed, they want to be involved, and that's great. We also moved our meetings around the county. Not everybody who lives in Kitzmiller can get to Oak, or get there by a certain time. And so we were in several municipalities and areas throughout the year. It was very well received. We're going to do it again next year. We were out in Deer Park. We were in Axon. We were in Friendsville. We were in Kitzmiller. We were in Bloomington. We were in Grantsville. We're here tonight. And we've offered to come to other places if asked, you know, for other groups or whatever. So we're open to that. We have some ideas, a couple different places we want to go next year as well. Until the spring, from after this meeting until the spring, we'll be back at the courthouse because weather will become an issue at some point, I'm sure. Another thing that we did, administrative sessions by law are open. They always have been, but we've publicized that, and we put it on our agenda and try to inform people what's on them. I'll be honest, most of the time they're pretty boring and basically mundane stuff, but you never know. But they're open. If you ever want to come in and see who gets appointed to what committee or whatever, you're welcome. And then obviously finally this evening, and trying to open it up and give somewhat a review of where, you know, we've been in office now just over a year. So this was a good time to do it. We're going to try to do this again the next couple of years in December, go over a lot of the same things like this. So with that, we really appreciate everybody coming out. Things are challenging. They still are challenging. The future is going to be challenging, at least in the near future. If some of these pieces of legislation happen to pass the legislature, and if some of these businesses and some of this other stuff comes to fruition, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel and we're getting there. We're going to need to continue to work together to navigate these difficult budgets until we have some cash that we can free up some things again. So we ask for your help. We appreciate you coming out. We look forward to another year that's better than this one. And with that, I know we have some questions up here, so we'll turn the microphone over to Kevin. He'll ask the questions, and the three commissioners will try to answer.
If you need a comment card, please raise your hand. While we're waiting to get the cards back, I'd just like to take a second to follow up on Commissioner Edwards. And I'm the new kid on the block. I've been here 6 months, and I can't say enough about the management team, the directors, the job that they do, the job that they've done to help the commissioners manage the budget. Scott and Alex had an opportunity to present it today, but these folks here are the ones that make a lot of things happen. So I really appreciate everybody's effort. Thank you. Okay, let me go ahead and get started. Looks like I have 5 or 6 of them on the same topic and a couple separate ones, so I'm going to try to merge all of these. The first one, with the increased interest and concerns for sustainable approaches to energy and agriculture, what, if any, efforts the county is taking to promote the county in these areas and or support these activities, particularly from an economic development perspective?
Everybody hear me? Can you hear me now? My school teacher voice. That's a great question. I appreciate it. And I'll let Alex weigh in here in a minute because he'll probably have some more. But I think, you know, when you look at agriculture, and part of that's going to be cheese. We've been very active with High Country Creamery, and High Country Creamery has been very active with Firefly Farms. Firefly, as most of you know, is really regionally known, and they need space to grow. High Country Creamery is going to provide some space for Firefly to grow, so it's benefiting more than just the group that's involved with High Country Creamery. But that's one way. We can certainly continue to push for those types of activities, whether it be dairy or whatever the case may be. I know Cheryl DeBerry works a lot with the agricultural piece. And Alex, do you have anything to weigh in on that?
Commissioner, I would only add that Maryland is one of the PACE states. PACE, I had looked it up here a moment ago. Property Assessed Clean Energy is what PACE stands for. The website for people to get more information is MD for Maryland -PACE.com. There's been about 3 counties. The state has enabled some legislation that will allow for-profit businesses to essentially have a tax lien placed against their property for a bank to offer them a low-interest loan that can be long-term because it's based on the real property and not the value of the equipment. To have, like Firefly Farms did, solar panels or other energy conservation equipment installed on their premises. And the way the loan is supposed to be structured for repayment is through efficiencies and cost savings to the company for that equipment. Now, where we are with it right now, the county itself has not been presented by the department this program for review. My department has had conversations with the official PACE agency for the state of Maryland. We've requested some documents from them in order to get to Mike Getty for legal review and analysis before taking it to you guys. I don't have a definite timetable, but it is something that the department is interested in, providing this tool which would be essentially, again, loans to the private businesses paid back through the cost savings, and they're secured by a tax lien against the parcel. Thank you, sir.
I think it's important to point out that Cheryl DeBerry, who works in the Economic Development Office, works very closely with the University of Maryland Extension. Wilton's here, so Wilton's still here. She works with them very closely to make sure that people are aware of best practices. They provide a lot of assistance in terms of helping people adopt best practices to apply technology. That relationship they have with people in the ag community is very important. Cheryl also serves as the economic development point person for natural resource-based businesses, which goes beyond agriculture. Okay.
Okay, this is a kind of a two-part question. We're both the same type of question. What is the best way to get appointed to county government committees? And a question also about listing the committees, or how do you get information on the committees?
That's a good question, and it's come up at a couple of our meetings. We now list the vacancies on our website. If you're interested in participating, you can fill out an application. Certain ways to get on different boards, but the best thing to do is if you see a vacancy on a board that is, and there's some confusion, I think, about what the county appoints and what they don't. You know, for example, Chamber of Commerce. The county doesn't appoint people to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce does that, or different enterprises like that. But you know, we have different boards that we have. Commission on Women would be one. Some other things. If you see a vacancy or you know of a vacancy, the best thing to do is probably call in and talk to Kevin to make sure that you have the right information for the right board. And make sure there's the qualifications that you would meet them and all of that stuff. But now we do have them listed. When a vacancy comes up, they'll be listed on the website.
There's a question concerning the Northern Garrett EMS and some of the problems they've been experiencing responding to emergency service calls.
Many people probably don't know, the Northern Garrett Rescue has had some issues being able to meet their calls. Basically, what we've done is we met with the Emergency Services Board. We actually met with Northern Rescue. They've come up with a plan, they being Northern Rescue, that they think is going to solve the problem. They presented it to us and Emergency Services Board. We're giving them some time to implement that plan to see if it shows progress. We think and hope that it will, and you know, if it doesn't, then we'll go from there. But they have submitted a plan, they're aware of the issue, and they're doing their best to mitigate the problem.
Okay. Is there a marketing plan for ASCII?
I'm not sure what is meant by a marketing plan. We have been in negotiations with some private sector people that have expressed an interest in taking over ASCII. Most people don't realize that ASCII itself, and Scott can verify this, but it's the last 3 years. The last 3 years, ASCII has paid all its expenses and had a surplus, has made money the last 3 years. A lot of people confuse 2014 with ASCII. 2014, the event, versus ASCII, the nonprofit. So I don't know in terms of marketing. There's a very limited staff there. There's one person that runs it, works 9 months out of the year, I think. So we don't have a lot of resources dedicated to it, but that's a good point, and maybe we ought to look into getting some outside help to develop a marketing plan for it.
Okay. This one I'm going to give you, it's more for information. Does Garrett County have training and planning for an active shooter situation?
That's actually a question for Sheriff Worley.
The health department just had one last week.
Yeah, and the SROs in the schools have a plan and a training in place that they've been working on. So I think it multi-layers of the community of Garrett County, there are contingency plans in place for that, and that hopefully never happens.
I have nine questions related to fracking. So I'm going to kind of summarize them as they are and ask Garrett to address those.
Can you read all of them? That'd be great.
Well, in the interest of time, probably not. No.
Well, but in the interest of transparency, could you do that?
When will the county commission a study on the health effects of fracking? The county commissioner said, as a county board of health, what actions would you as a county board of health take to ensure that fracking will not endanger public health?
Well,
And
those are.
they're basically the same.
Yeah, and those are very good questions, and, I know we've had these questions, I know I addressed some of these questions with Commissioner Women, and different groups that have come in. You know, long story short, a lot of that's gonna have to come from the state, or at least be partnered with the state. We've made that clear to the state. The Board of Health thing, I still think there's a lot of confusion about what actually the Board of Health can do, what it is, what it can do, and what it can't do. You know, and I think people get caught on this nuisance clause in the Board of Health. But you gotta understand, whether you like it or not, the fact is that fracking doesn't exist here. And we as a Board of Health can't legislate it through the nuisance plan, because you can't legislate something that doesn't exist. The first thing that would have to happen for that, because that's where a lot of people come at on that point, is that it's gonna cause all these health problems. And it may, but the state would say it hasn't here yet. And so therefore you can't legislate it here yet. Smoking's a little different. People know about smoking, and counties have banned smoking under the nuisance clause of the Board of Health. But you can't legislate things that don't currently exist where you're at under that clause. So that, I think there's a lot of confusion in that. As far as the county commencing with the health study, I think that's, and we brought that up, a lot of you are very familiar with it, we brought it up with different department heads, but that's probably something that's gonna have to be driven by the state.
Okay. In the spirit of Christmas, how do we get a toy store in Grantsville?
Yeah, I wonder who asked that question. We'll keep working on that one.
I will be putting the slides, the overheads on the website, as well as we had a request for the RFP study for the economic development. Economic study, I will also put that on the website. So within the next day or two, both of those will appear on the website.
It'd be great to see those questions posted also.
A lot of us would like to hear the rest of the
Okay,
questions.
thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question that wasn't asked that pertained to what, Commissioner Edwards spoke of.
We're not taking questions, I'm sorry.
Wow.
It was not asked. Did you ignore questions on the papers?
I just summarized them. Yeah. I mean, they're all basically the same.
It wasn't summarized.
Sorry.